All right, today on Fused Marriages, our conversation is deficient versus defiant. Is your spouse deficient, or are they just doing it on purpose? We really need to get into this conversation, so make sure you tell everybody to join us because we about to talk about it. Thank you for tuning in. We are Tristin and Michael, and you are listening to Fused Marriages, transparent conversations for marriage, family, and relationships. We invite you to join us as we discuss topics that are thought about but not talked about. So tell your friends and families who check us out. Hey.
You know what? You kind of threw me off a little bit, just a little bit.
Why?
You looking so good today. You look good every day. You got the aesthetics with the hair down, the glasses. I'm looking like this, the beautiful smile. I'm kind of like, hold on, what's going on right now?
I think you're buttering me up for today's topic.
I'm not.
For today's conversation.
I ain't scared of none of you, but like I'm being honest. For you, look nice. You look nice.
Thank you, honey. You look handsome too.
I appreciate it. I thank you very much.
Mine on mine. Okay, sir. Well, everybody, we want you guys to be a part of this dialogue because we have something pretty important and interesting that we are talking about, and I'm going to allow my husband to tell you what he named today's show.
Oh, you just gonna put on me? We didn't name. I thought we named it.
He named, and I agreed.
Okay, it's fine. Hey, but no. The show title is, at least what we're kind of gonna discuss about, is about being deficient or being defiant.
Deficient or defiant.
Yeah.
Is your partner
with your partner
deficient or defiant? Okay, so as we jump into that, make sure that you comment. Let us know what your thoughts are. Tell your friends and family. Start conversations because that's what this show is really about. Starting really relevant and important conversations. So
there we go.
Let's dig in to this. Deficient or defiant? What do you mean when you say that?
I mean, it can mean a lot of things. Even you and I were kind of discussing what, hold on, like, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. What are you trying to get at? So we got to frame it up, hopefully, for people to kind of digest a little bit.
Okay.
A lot of times we're in relationships and we're trying to decide, right, is if the person is like just against us, right? Mm-hmm. And they're saying against us, like, are they not want to do what I'm asking, or are they having problems listening, or it ain't sinking in right? Am I not communicating? All these things have come up in everybody's relationship, right? Mine,
yeah, these are the kinds of things that you think and you don't say them out loud. Because if you say, like, is it not sinking in to another grown person?
Don't say that.
It's definitely going to be, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I mean, with the idea of, like, really trying to understand, right, what is it? Why is it happening? Okay. And what is it, right? So that's where we get the I guess, our title from. Is your partner, are they deficient, right? Where we're saying they're lacking skill.
Okay.
Or are they defiant where there's lacking will?
Oh, come on now. Come on, babe. Are they lacking skill,
right,
or are they lacking will? Come on, keep going. Going.
I mean, so it's just the idea of that. I mean, we're going to try to hopefully dive into the weeds of this and like figure out if we decide whenever we're going through our relationship troubles, because we all have some here or there.
Sure.
Some more than others, some less than others, whatever. Hey, but we all have them. Which one is it, right? Is it just my partner doesn't have the skill set to be able to maneuver? They didn't see it. It wasn't modeled in front of them. You're asking them something outside of really what they're capable of doing. Or there's like, you know what? They just really are resisting. You got something, what you got?
I'm just thinking. So when he first told me the title that he was considering for this show, and he said deficient or defiant, I immediately had to sit back in myself a little bit.
Right.
I was like, what you mean, like, deficient or defiant? Because nobody describes themselves to saying I'm deficient. And personally, when somebody says like you're defiant, it makes me raise up a little bit, like say like, and like I might be,
because with that word.
Because a lot of times I've seen this word used throughout history to describe women or minorities. So when I hear like they're defiant, in my chest, I start to feel a little bit. But in the conversation that we're having, I really like how you said skill versus will. In if you're defiant or if you're deficient, do you have the ability to do it to the level that I think it needs to be done? Or are you intentionally not doing it that way. So I'm going to give an example, and I've used this example before. When Michael and I first got married, I have a thing, and I've heard other people have this thing too. I had a thing about dirty dishes in my sink. For real.
We're going to go there today.
Yeah, I'm just letting the people know.
She didn't warn me on this, y'all.
I'm just letting the people know.
Go ahead.
I'm just trying to help us all, okay? So when we first got married, I had a conversation about dishes in my sink, and I communicated this. It's just something about it. I just don't like dirty dishes in my sink. I just really don't. It's just a thing. And so I communicated to Michael, hey, this is something that was really, please, if we go to bed, I'm a cook the meal. I like to cook. Can we make sure there are no dirty dishes in the sink? My husband, yeah, I got you. Kind of, but there were dirty dishes in my sink, and this one kept going on. I would wake up in the morning, and he wouldn't do like a whole lot of dishes, but like we would finish the house, kitchen closed, lights down. I'd wake up and there'd be like a cup in the sink when the dishwasher is right there, or like a fork. Like it was like little things that I'm like, I know it wouldn't have taken any energy for him to put this in the dishwasher. And so we had a conversation about it, and I'm like, maybe he doesn't, like there's got to be something. And I found out that he was being defiant because he felt like I was telling him what to do. I was going to make him put the dish in the dishwasher. Accurate, right?
In that case, I would probably say you're pretty accurate, yes.
Accurate.
Yes.
So it became an issue of will, because I don't want to do it because I feel like you telling me what to do, and it's our house, it's not your house. You can't. And I probably did come off like that. I'm not going to say I'm a little bit of a I communicate harshly from time to time. So I can see why he would have perceived it that way. So having the dialogue to say, like, Tristin, I don't like dishes in the sink either, but you got to work on how you say it. Versus my husband, I'm gonna use this is again, because some of you might relate to this. He does not have a problem folding the towels. He will fold the towels and put them in the, where the towels go in the cabinet. But I do not like the way that he folds the towels because they don't look folded. They look like they rolled them over his arm and just slid them off. And
that bad?
It's bad.
Wow. Okay.
It's bad. Michael, you can't fold no towels. But it's a skill thing. So when I see the towels, at first my position was, so nobody fold towels is bad. Like, it's not even possible. But he would really try to support and to help by folding the towels and putting them. And so I couldn't be coming at him like he doesn't have the will to do it and be like, why'd you fold the towels like this? Can't da-da-da-da-da. That isn't the case. The case was he was trying to support, but he didn't have the skill to do it the way that I wanted it done. So, and I had to say, like, okay, he's helping me out. If I don't want the towels done that way, let him fold it and support. And if I need to, like, hey, let's fold them together. Hey, would you mind doing this? There are alternatives. But understanding the difference can create it. By not understanding the difference, you can create a problem where there isn't one, where he's trying to help and now he's going to give up. I'm not going to, fine, I was trying to, you can do all of that stuff by putting somebody down and not recognizing skill versus will.
Right.
So those are just some examples. Maybe you all have some. If you do, put them in the comments because I want to read them, because those are some that were not funny at the time but are now funny.
They were actually serious. It was like, hey, my towel folding skills, t-shirts, whatever it is, any folding skills is really bad. And it's a great example of kind of the skill thing. We'll talk about something more serious, but it's so bad that like y'all don't know what this is. I have a flipping fold.
Flip and
fold.
I didn't even know it was
that. I don't know if they still sell them or not. I bought it years ago, but like literally it helps you fold things nice and neat in its place. Anyway, it's crazy. But that's how bad my folding skills are. So it literally was a lack of skill in that case.
Yeah. So it wasn't him not trying. It was him really not being able to do them to the level that I wanted them done. So that's some skill versus will, practical, some things. We're going to dig a little deeper, but understanding the difference is really important, and being able to properly assess the difference in your partner. So keep it going.
I want to ask you a question, because I'm going to jump off. Let's talk about the skill part first, and then we'll jump into the deficient part. We off the cards right now because I'm going way off the wagon.
Way off the wagon. Okay.
Wheels are off the wagon. So just let you know. So we got to think quick on this one.
Okay.
What you do. So we talked about the skill part, right? Where, like I said, we use the example as the flipping fold. But sometimes people wonder, right? Why isn't my spouse not talking to me? Right? They wonder, there's an issue. Why aren't they trying to resolve it? And oftentimes is what my experience is that it comes across if that person, say if it's me and I don't come talk to you or try to get something addressed, it comes across as like, hey, they trying to hurt me continually because they don't want to resolve it. And we have to decide, and a lot of times maybe we have a discussion now, right? Is this person willfully doing this? They shutting down on purpose, or is it just a skill thing that they don't know how to communicate?
Yeah.
Or they're lacking some way of like really expressing themselves in a way that they think it's going to be effective for the situation.
Yeah.
Some people may say, you know what, I don't want to say nothing right now because I'm angry and I might say the wrong thing. But they can't even say that because that's something in their mind, something they bursted out before. So the communication skill, and oftentimes things go on, right? Life, that is, and they end up just say like, brushing it off and like, okay, everything is good. In reality, the other person may be still having some pain. Like, hold on, like we never
we're not over it.
We never talked about it,
right?
And they didn't grow up in a household or a place or a situation where they were forced or at least had to express themselves when they were wrong, right, or had their own pain. Just never had it. So my question is like, how would you suggest people kind of identify that, right? Identify, okay, the situation this person is doing it. Let's say they're communicating or lack of communication, and trying to figure out if it's a skill issue or if it's a will issue.
Yeah, great question. You hit on a lot there, and I would say something that I had to learn is, because of some past trauma and some past challenges that I have, I didn't always believe the best about my spouse. And I think that that's something that you have to start with. You have to start with, I'm going to believe the best about them and let time allow them to improve. Let love and time and communication and conversation, hey, this is affecting me. Because for me, I was like trigger happy. Like, you do something, oh, I'm triggered, like immediately. Like, oh, you not about to. Like, Michael didn't know he was getting a hood chick when he got me, because I was like ready to go all the way off on him when he didn't get it right the first time. And because I was like, you should know this. We good and grown, not taking into account all of the other things, the household that he might have grown up in, what his experiences were, to maybe he had tried it before in a previous relationship and it didn't work out that way and he doesn't want to cause damage, or maybe he knows it's something I'm going to be sensitive to, so he's not sure exactly how to go about it. I didn't take any of that into account. So I was just immediately, you should know. And I think that is a horrible starting point, is to say they should already know this, even if you think that they should. So I think that having those conversations regularly, frequently, honestly, openly. And I think something that I think is really important is that you have to hear without defense and speak without offense. Like we can't be intentionally attacking the person, and we can't always feel attacked. And I think that when we have those kinds of conversations where we're open to receive from one another, then it makes some things, even tough conversations, a lot easier. And so I think to your question, believing the best, having open and honest and transparent conversations with each other, where you're really able to pull those guards down. Hey, Tristin, I really don't know how to talk about this because you talk really aggressively. So, and that makes me feel some kind of way. So both of us are going to have to shift. I'm going to have to not be offended by how you talk, because I know this is how you communicate. This is where you're from. This is what you grew up with. But this is what I'm going to need from you. I'm going to need you to, come at me a little bit differently. When I need to ask versus tell, or whatever is there. Did I answer it?
I think yeah, I did answer. That was great. I was trying to give insight because I know something that's we've experienced, right, of trying to figure that out, right, where you're trying to decide, is it a skill issue or a will issue, and probably vice versa as well. But that communication part was something like, hey, I wasn't the best communicator, still evolving in the area, but like really trying to I was genuinely trying to grow. So, but I knew you had to kind of figure out, like, okay, hold on, which side of the fence is this happening on?
Right.
Because oftentimes I think in the case of, not in our case, but I think it can happen, people get demonized, right? This person is against me because they're not XYZ. They're not talking, they're not this, that, and the other. And I think once you demonize your spouse, it's hard to recover from that, because you're going to get defensive. I'll say they, me, you, anybody. I'm going to get defensive. I'm like, hold on, I ain't that. but you're not able to communicate, what you are, but you get demonized, and I think the relationship ends up having some conflict that needs to be, healed.
And even in that, being able to say and receive, I need a minute. I need a minute to digest that, because sometimes in some relationships, the person might need a minute and they won't say it. Or the person will say it and somebody will push back. Or what you mean by that? Like, why, for what? So I think being able to really, and I think that this is where that love piece, genuinely believing the best. If they say they need a minute, I don't know why, I don't get it. This is not the most opportune time, but let me give it to them and let that person come back when they said they're going to come back. I think that builds some trust in the relationship.
Yeah. So so we talked about maybe the skill side, right? But there's also another side, right, where somebody is being defiant, right? And we have to make the choice or the decision first of all how to address it. First of all, what is it? And then if we say they're being defiant, how do we address it? And it's like, I think it's from time to time, none of us are perfect relationships, so we've been defiant. We got stories, when somebody ordered, a hamburger for somebody, and they asked for something, and they gave them a plain burger, knowing they like lettuce, tomato, they like all that. That was a defiant. I mean, it's small, but and they're like, hold on, you feeding me lunch? Why I got a plain burger? Well, you asked for. Anyway.
One day we might have them as guests on the show, because that is the funniest story ever. We laugh about this. This is years and years and years ago. But I agree that sometimes you can be defiant. But I think even in that, being able to communicate or come back and talk about it is really important, because there are reasons why people, it might be an old offense, and now you asking for something else. Like, hold on, you didn't care enough the last time to deal with these kinds of things. I think some of that, and I think that stuff builds up. Because I don't think you fall in love, you marry somebody, and then you instantly become this other thing. If that's there, then that's a whole nother, that could be a number of other either psychological or abuse-related issues. But when we're talking about, you fall in love with somebody, they're okay for a while, and then they're trending in the wrong direction, some of that you really need to dig into. And one of the ways that you can, and we advocate for it, and we do it ourselves, but we also recognize that there are other professionals that do it, is you might need a third party. You might need a counselor. You might need a mentor. You might need a therapist, because there can be some things that people don't know how to communicate. And I think that can be labeled as defiance. And people can start walking away from a relationship simply because they just don't know how to navigate, how to respond, what to do. I'm not huge on reality shows, but Michael was watching. I didn't mean to throw you out there. Michael was watching one time, and there was a couple on there that was really having a lot of conflict, and she just was ready to leave. She's just saying, I'm done with this relationship. And he was like, all right, you done? I'm done too. And she was upset that he didn't come try to fix it. Try to, oh, well, baby, don't go. Let's try to talk this out. But she was upset because he doesn't showing her the compassion and love that she needed. And he was upset because she's ready to throw in the towel, but neither of them had the ability to really bridge that gap and to talk. So I think one of the important things, whether defiant, or what was the other one? Defiant or deficient is making sure you don't throw out the other D word, which is divorce. There are some things that are really just going to be like, all right, fine. Where both parties can walk away. It doesn't mean that both parties aren't hurt. I think that sometimes you think, well, if you want a divorce or you're wanting to walk out, that you're no longer affected or impacted. And that's not necessarily true. I think that that's something that's kind of a misnomer, that people really think, well, they got a divorce, they didn't feel it, they didn't care. Everybody's affected by divorce. But I do want to say this, I didn't mean to go that far into it, but do not be willing to just toss in the towel and don't put that in the atmosphere. I believe very strongly in words. Don't put that in the relationship, because it does plant a seed. So what can happen is then you work it out, but that other person always knows they were willing. The next argument, they might step away. So then you might have these challenges built upon themselves when you have another problem. Now they don't know what to say, because the last time you said you were going to throw in the towel when you might have not meant it, but they can't tell the difference. And when you're just upset, you can see how these things can keep going.
Yeah. I guess, you talk about, the divorce, the D word, right? is there a time, can someone be so defiant that, you know what, not, we don't promote divorce because that's very painful, but are there times or there situations in your mind that you can think of like, okay, you know what, the defiance is too much, it's a certain issue, certain this, whatever, maybe give some examples where, you know what, hey, this is not, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah, I do. I definitely believe in self-preservation and protection if you're in an abusive relationship, and that can be physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, then that you might need to say, like, you know what, let's create some space. There might need to be a separation. I think that most everything is reconcilable, but not everything. Right. So I definitely believe that there can be times when you need to get out, stay out, escape. I believe in that. I also believe in that if the other person is unwilling to make any adjustments or even recognize the damage that they're doing, because and I could put that in the category of abuse. If somebody is causing so much mental or emotional pain that you're breaking down, because let me say this in the context of this show, is that stress is real and it is lethal. Like, it is not, true. You can go undergo so much stress from a relationship. And I'm not saying walk out because they're stressing you out or they're irritating you. That's not even what we're going. And I hope that we have a mature understanding among us. But if you are having emotional and mental breakdowns, you can't work, you're struggling to focus, that's how you build ulcers. I'm really into health, y'all. So I do a lot of research in this. I do a lot of reading on this. And long-term chronic stress will kill you. And so I don't believe personally, this is not my taking off that counselor and therapist hat for a second, but I don't believe that is healthy, either for the relationship, for the family, or for the individual. So I do believe in seeking help. And I also think that if your partner is not willing to seek individual help, not just couples therapy, I think couples therapy is important, but I also think that individual help, if they have a problem that they need to go see somebody about, they need to do that. I mean, if Michael has something that he's struggling, I want to support him if he needs to go see a therapist by himself. If he says, you know what, Tristin, something's going on with my mind, something's going on with my heart, my spirit, I need to talk to somebody, I don't need to be like, well, I got to go too. I support you when you going, what you need. Let me make sure that you are whole and happy and healthy. That's going to make us better. And I think that can be, that's a whole nother conversation. But some things you might need to go take care of you. You might need to go to the doctor. You might need to get yourself a trainer. You might need to go to the therapist. There are some things that you really need to self-preserve. You have a reason to be here. Obviously, you want your spouse with you. You want that partnership because you can do more together, but you can't do nothing if you're in the grave. So that was my long-winded for real, because some of that stuff messes up your brain. Like, I could go into all the science of what stress does to your brain, to your heart, to your lungs, to your lifespan. So I want us to live. And in partnership, I really want marriages to work, but I definitely think if you are in a relationship in which your partner is defiant, they will not change, they will not grow, they will not let you grow in any way. They're controlling or manipulating or causing harm to you in any of those abusive ways, then you might need to say, you know what? This is time for the D word. This is time for me to go ahead and step out, because you not okay, and you're not gonna make me not okay too. What do you think? I know that I had a whole tangent on that.
I mean, what do I think? I think about a lot of things. You said a lot of it.
I did.
I think what you said was very, very powerful, though. I mean, I think there are times like you have to kind of draw the line somewhere. Mm-hmm. But helping people like when to draw that line, I think that's what I was trying to maybe figure out. And like I said, everybody has to make their own personal choice in that.
Yeah, well, I believe in do all that you can do until you can't do anymore. Mm-hmm. I do believe that, but I don't believe that's unto death.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
No. Okay. I guess I was trying to figure what you were saying with that.
You were telling people where to draw the line. I don't believe it's time to throw in the towel because it's hard, or because we're having arguments. I don't believe that just means like, okay, we're arguing on a regular basis. You might go through seasons. I'm just being honest. You might go through seasons where it just feels like, oh, this is such a drag. This is so difficult. It shouldn't be this hard. And that doesn't mean that that's the point to give up. I don't think that. But I do think that there does come a time if that person is defiant, and that's when it comes to will versus skill, and not being trivial, really taking into account. It can't be he consistently doesn't fold the stuff right, small example, or he's not keeping the house the way that I want my house cleaned. That is not the level of abuse. Right. So there are levels to this thing, is what I'm getting to.
Agree. No, I agree with you 100% on that. There's definitely levels to it, and to be able to understand those levels. So I'm trying to think of an idea like, okay, if I have a woman that's defiant in an area, whether, I'm using an example, she doesn't cook because, she saw her mother cook for 7 straight days and refuses to be that. So, and it's continued. Would I divorce her for that? I don't think so. You know what I mean? That's an issue I would try to but there's some other areas, right? She doesn't, ever let me see her bank account. Because of, she was grown and had issues and was, had to do things on her own and have her own money. Now that one could be different. If I never get to see, I don't know how much you make. I know people like that. They date another person, they don't know. And and just going through that cycle, I'm that could be something that's too much, right? Without being, okay, give us a time. I think nothing quick and done, but I think we all got to figure out, okay, what is too much, and try to talk to them. Yeah, it's a threshold. So,
I agree with you. I think that there's definitely a time, and everybody's is different. And I definitely think that bringing in a third party, somebody to listen, can help balance the scales. Can help say, you know what, let's rethink this. Let's think over this. Versus you're right, because sometimes your friends are just going to side with you. Your family's just going to side with you. You might need somebody that's a little bit more objective. But I want to give you the last words of the show for this one. Defiant
versus deficient.
Defiant versus
you have a hard time saying. You you want to make that such hold on, what's your defiant
versus deficient. Let me give you that last word.
I think we just have to be careful with demonizing our spouse, particularly when we may assume that they are defiant, but they may be deficient. So just being cautious and conscious of hey, you know what? Before I, put my spouse in this category, I can't believe they did this. Mentality, we may not say those words, or we may. The idea of demonizing them in a way that could damage them, right? Damage their relationship. You know what I mean? You got to heal from that. They're going to get defensive, and then defensiveness kicks off to other stuff. So it gets in this cycle of, okay, do we even trust each other? Does she even understand me, or do I understand her? This, that, and the other, or vice versa. Right. So the demonization of it, this needs to be at least thought about before you put your spouse in that category. Are they deficient or are they defiant?
Good final word. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Make sure that you connect with us on all of our socials at Fused Marriages. We definitely want to hear from you. And do not forget, new episodes drop every Monday at 11 Central Standard Time. You know what? Let's just talk about it.